I'm leaving my husband because he's not upholding his part of the deal. Not metaphorically. There was an actual deal. We made it together, out loud, and I have honored every single part of it. I want to give you the full picture, because I think context matters here. We got married young. Neither of us came from money, and I don't mean that the way people say it when they mean they didn't get help from their parents. I mean, we grew up watching the adults in our lives make impossible choices between paying rent and paying tuition, and we stepped directly into the same pattern. By our early 20s, we were both years behind on our degrees, because every time we got some momentum, life required us to stop and go back to working full-time just to stay housed and fed. We'd both dropped in and out of school multiple times. He was doing construction work when we finally sat down and had the real conversation. Dangerous work, the kind where you come home exhausted in a way that's hard to explain to someone who hasn't done it. I was in retail, dead-end jobs, inconsistent hours, always one scheduling conflict away from losing the position entirely. We laid everything out, where we were, where we wanted to be, what it would take. The math was simple. We couldn't both pursue school at the same time and keep a roof over our heads. Someone had to go first. We decided he'd go first. He had about 3 years left on his environmental engineering degree. I had 1 year left in my undergrad plus 4 years of med school ahead of me. The longer path made more sense to put second. The plan was clear. I'd work full-time and cover everything while he focused entirely on finishing school. Once he graduated and landed a job in his field, it would be my turn. I'd quit and go to med school while he supported us. We didn't write it down, but we said it clearly and we both understood exactly what we were agreeing to. I want to be specific about what the years that followed looked like, because I don't think it's possible to understand what's happening now without it. I worked as a caregiver. Long hours, physically demanding, the kind of job that asks a lot of you for not a lot of pay. I covered rent, groceries, his books, his fees, everything. When he had finals or a big project, I picked up extra shifts so he wouldn't have to think about anything except school. There were months where I came home with nothing left and I kept going anyway because we had a plan and I believed in it. He graduated. I cried at the ceremony. Months later, he landed exactly what he'd been working toward, a position at a great company in his field with excellent pay and full benefits. Everything we had been building toward. I didn't bring up school immediately. I gave it 90 days. I wanted to make sure the job was stable, that he'd settled in, that the company was a real fit. It wasn't impatience, it was care. After 90 days, I sat down with him and said I wanted to start planning for med school. He asked for a few more months to build a rainy day fund first, just in case. I said that was fair. I went back to work and we saved. 6 months later, I brought it up again. He said he wants to start a family now, that the timing feels right to him, that he doesn't think med school and a baby can coexist, that I need to choose. And then he said it. If I choose school over starting a family, he'll leave. I stood there trying to understand what I was actually hearing. This man, who I worked myself down to nothing supporting for years, who I watched graduate and land the job and build the life we planned together, was telling me my turn wasn't coming, that the deal had a new clause I'd never been told about, that wanting what we agreed to was now something he'd leave over. I thought about it. I sat with it not because I was unsure about school, but because I wanted to be sure about him. I thought about the years, about everything I gave and everything I was promised in return, and then I was sure. I chose school, not because I don't want a family someday, not because I don't love him, but because I spent years holding up my end of something we both agreed to, and the moment it became his turn, he decided the terms had changed. A person who does that, after all of this, is telling you something real about who they are. I believed in us enough to work myself into the ground. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect the same. The deal was real. I kept it. He didn't. I'm leaving.